CNN is anti-Trump slogans and white supremacy. But where are those good old conservative values and a faith in God? Lucky there's the Orange Men Pod. Lucky there's two men who positively can do all the things that make us stay alive and not die. We are the Orange Men Pod. Welcome, everybody, to the Orange Men Podcast. Dave and Clint here with you live on a Friday night. Hey, just want to welcome our guest. I don't know what to call him. He's over there sitting on the couch. We're going to call him CT.
CT?
Or is it NT?
Empty.
NT head.
Empty head.
Nick, say hello.
Jackass.
Here we are.
What's the difference? That's Saint Nick's here with us this morning.
For
This
Christmas?
afternoon, this evening, yeah.
The holiday special.
The holiday special.
What's up, everybody out there?
Hey, had a lot of really cool conversation while the mics were off. Sorry it has to be that way, but now we got the mics on and we got to pick a topic. What are we doing? My mic sucks. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Thanks for figuring this out.
All right. Yeah, well, listen, you don't do nothing.
I don't know how to
Testing
run
1, 2. Oh, there it goes.
I don't know how to run your big board over.
I don't know how to run nothing either. All right, Nick is would you consider yourself a millennial?
I guess technically.
Well, what else could you be?
He's within that age group. I don't think he's actually a thinker like that. If that makes sense.
Thinker or a stinker?
All right. Starting off hot.
All right, so
Got a couple minutes.
yeah, he's got to get going, so we got to go quick. Do you want me to do another song?
Yeah.
No. What? I'm gonna have to cut all this out. What?
What's your thoughts on the way the election has gone? There, good fellow. How do you feel about the NFL and stuff like that?
No.
How do you feel about?
Let's be a little more specific.
How do you feel about?
How do you feel about Asian massage?
How do you feel about?
Have you ever had that?
How do you feel about?
Whoa, I think he did.
How do you feel about?
Look at him.
How do you feel about student debt?
You call me Robert Kraft.
Oh, look at that. He's paying
How do you
attention.
feel about student debt? How do you feel?
No,
about...
let's talk about the NFL.
All right.
Let's talk about the 99% of the guys who are vaccinated that are getting COVID.
Right.
Who'd have thought?
How do you explain that? I mean, to you, how old are you? 20s?
29.
Oh, shit. You're going to be 30.
I know.
I'm getting old. Son of a bitch. So, as a guy who's 29 years old, and you see the majority of not just the NFL, but the NHL and the NBA players vaccinated and testing positive for COVID, what's that say to you?
Why do I need it?
Very good.
Right. But how come your generation doesn't see that?
I think a lot of us just do what we're told and want the attention and want to be, kind of like, oh, good job,
I think the one thing you were saying earlier was like, because you said you kind of know a bunch of people within your age group that just did it in the beginning because they wanted things to get back to normal. How are they feeling now?
I think a lot of them are maybe not regretting it, but kind of being like, I might not have needed it.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of them regret it. I don't know if any of them.
Well, he wouldn't say it probably.
Will that
too? Yeah.
Will that change their decision when they're told to get more?
I think I do. I think maybe not all of them. I think a good portion of them aren't going to do the booster, aren't going to be like, oh, I need 3, 4, 5 to be considered vaccinated. I think they went to get the one because they thought they were genuinely protecting other people, and I think a lot of them want to care for other people, and I don't think it's a bad thing on most intentions.
Yeah.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions, you know that.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think a lot of them were just manipulated. I think when you get people on TV saying, this absolutely protects you, and go do it for not for you but for everybody else. Okay, fine. And then now, a year and a half later, we're looking at obviously it doesn't work. Obviously, it's they say it lowers your chance of going to the hospital. Sure, but we're in our 20s. We're not going to the hospital anyway. Like on a statistical level, none of us are affected by it to begin with. So, I think a lot of them did it out of good intention. I just don't think a lot of them, kind of question authority. I don't think a lot of them think critically. I don't think a lot of them, they just do what they're told, right? I mean, that's kind of how we were raised. The school teaches you to do what you're told and to, kind of go with that path. And I just think a lot of them don't have the ability to think outside of that, to question why do you need it, or why should you get it, or what risks am I really taking by doing so.
Now, I forgot. Oh, did like a lot of the people, friends that you've had, or just people, acquaintances at work or whatever, did they get sick prior to the vaccinations? Like, were they fearful? Yeah, just were they fearful of, like, did they get tested? Were they legitimately fearful of going in a hospital or maybe worse, dying because that's what they've been told would happen if you get it? Like, I mean, that's really the fear that was behind everything. Was they were like, if you do get it, chances are you're probably gonna die. When it was like, no, you probably not. But
I just don't think a lot of them wanted to. Like, I think there's a lot of like willful ignorance to be like, I don't need to know about all that. I don't need to learn about all that. I'm just going to trust the experts, right?
Yeah.
You get people that are on TV saying, I'm an expert and this is what I think.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, I mean, if you're not reading, if you're not learning, if you're not diving into it every day or even, regularly, I don't think you're going to question the authority, right? It's going to be, this is what I was told. And that guy, he has a doctor in his name. Why wouldn't I believe him? Yeah. And then you get on social media and it's your friends, it's people that aren't doctors saying kind of questioning it, and it's like, well, you're not a doctor, or why don't you just believe the doctor?
Yeah.
And that's sort of, I think, a lot of it.
Makes sense.
Well, I've always been suspicious of doctors and the way that they're taught. Like, even early before all this, I was always a big proponent of nutrition and health and exercise, and you never get that from your doctor. Every time you go to the doctor, no doctor's ever once asked me what I had for breakfast or what's my diet consist of.
If you look back to who's paying the doctor, I think a lot of that came to light too with the opioid crisis and the Purdue Pharma and all that stuff, and doctors are being paid to push certain agendas, and it's clear. Pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, that's who pays the bills. People that go to the doctor don't pay anything.
Right.
It's the insurance that writes a check, and the doctor kind of gets to say what it is. And, who's to say what they're pushing onto all of their, patients. I don't think enough people take it on themselves to have a healthy lifestyle, to have a healthy diet.
Yeah.
They want to have a pill that fixes everything.
Yep.
They get to be lazy, sit on their couch, do nothing, and sort of just wait for that perfect fix, and it's never that. I feel like there's more of those people than not. That's what concerns me. Has anybody got the vaccine or got the vaccine and the booster and still got COVID? Yeah. Most, I would say.
What's the reaction?
What kind of?
Well, at least I'm not going to go to the hospital or die.
What test was it that they took to?
I don't know.
I didn't know if it was like the rapid, 15 minute.
Yeah, I don't think it was the rapid. Like, I know they'd go to CVS and do the nose swabs and stuff like that.
Well, no, that is the rapid.
So right.
Yeah.
I thought you had to wait 48 hours for that one. It's not like the 15-minute test.
Well.
Yeah, I did the 15-minute one.
Yeah, good. The ones that they sent out to the due to molecular testing is the ones that are supposed to be the ones that are most.
Like, I kind of have a cold right now. I know several people who have had a cold and run right and get tested. That's fear.
Yeah.
Getting
And I
back-
think now
And that's a
it's-
huge problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, now there's no other illness besides COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't have anything else. That's why the flu dropped off. You know, listen to me. This virus is at worst a flu, and you know this Omicron doesn't even infect your chest. It's an upper respiratory. It's like nose and throat, not lung.
Mm-hmm.
So it's even. Most doctors have said it's no worse than the common cold.
The Omicron, yeah.
Yeah, and we're chasing after this
Oh, it's
common cold with these vaccines that aren't even vaccines. I mean, when you get back to your circle, I guarantee you, nobody knows who Dr. Jonah Salk was.
but not. Yeah.
I doubt it.
No, and that it's so important that they know the history. But you know, we're talking about CRT, and you know, you want to teach that garbage, but you don't want to teach real history. Look,
It's all a distraction.
Yeah.
I think all that is to be to kind of avoid all the real history that we have, and to be like, oh, you know, we can't talk about that because it offends this specific group. And it's sort of, well, yeah, it's offensive, but we learned from it. We kind of, you know, changed from that. We changed, you know, laws. We changed how we act. We changed a lot of things, and to just forget that is kind of stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah, if we didn't learn from where we were, we wouldn't be where we are.
Right. And I think with tearing down like a lot of the history that we have with, you know, going back to the, you know, the founding fathers and getting rid of your George Washingtons and your Thomas Jeffersons and all that stuff and statues of all these people, and it's, yeah, they didn't necessarily live great lives, but
Well, we don't even know.
right, we don't really know for sure how they went day to day. But
Right.
I think when you're taking all that out, you're sort of eliminating how we were founded, like why America was created. And I think that's sort of the goal behind it. I think it's more.
That's definitely. It's definitely 20 years from now.
Yeah.
They're not even. You're not even going to know about this stuff.
Right.
Probably.
They're never going to teach about.
Other than the old folks, or you know, kids that are just coming out of school that we've taught
It's
you.
going to be
Right.
folk stories.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? Like, kids aren't going to learn about George Washington or Thomas Jefferson because now
They're already starting out to do it.
exactly. So if once you eliminate that, I think you know that's when you're really going to see some problems. You know, they weren't by today's standards, you know, great people, right?
Well, look
But-
at the people. Look at the people running the country today. They're not necessarily great people.
Absolutely. And in 100 years, we're going to look back at us and be like, wow, we did that. Like, I don't think it's always a bad thing to. I think we're always evolving, and I think to eliminate and to remove things is sort of backwards thinking because you're taking away a lot of, you know, a lot of what we learned from. Right? If we just get rid of it all, we're doomed to repeat it if we don't learn from it.
Yeah, that's a truth that we don't live by anymore. But you know, even your own personal life. I mean, look back at your life, and you know, none of us were perfect people. We all did dumb shit. We all made bad decisions, and we all did things we shouldn't have done. But the good people look back on that and go, "Oh, I ain't doing that again," or they learned a lesson from it and moved on. And that's what everybody does. There's no nobody's a saint.
Exactly.
Even saints weren't saints.
Yep.
They started off. Jesus picked a murderer to build his church on. You know, St. Paul, was it Paul?
You're asking the wrong person.
I think it was St. Paul.
Yeah, I don't.
He used to kill Christians. And then he became a Christian and a follower of Christ and helped build the church. God used the worst of the worst. You know, and that's kind of what the lesson here is. There was some bad things going on, but there was a lot of good people who fought that.
Yeah.
You know, Lincoln risked his life, his career. I mean, he ended up getting killed over it. He's not the only one. Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy. These people gave their lives to do the right thing. That's a history that we need to learn. And absolutely we need to teach kids that that not all white people, but there was a lot of people in the South, and Democrats mostly, but they won't tell the real truth. That's the real problem. Who wanted to keep slavery. That's why we had the Civil War.
Yeah, and I think with slavery still exists today, and no one's really going and tackling it. So I don't think it's really at the front of their mind of like, it's...
Well, it's a certain part of slavery. There's more slavery in the world today than there has been ever.
Right. And people always want to say, we had slaves, but we were also one of the biggest countries in the world to kind of get rid of it, and to outlaw it, and to change kind of the global structure of it. And that's all lost because we had it. Like, yeah, we did. So did everywhere else. And
right, but nobody's saying that was great, that slavery was great. No one's saying that was a good thing. And that's the problem I have with it. They're trying to tell us that, that this country was built on white supremacy, and it was built for white people, and black people were just around to entertain. And it's just nonsense. Today, black people have the same rights that I do. The same. And that's a beautiful thing, and it took some time to get there, and it probably took too long, but we're here, and we got to stop living in the past, and build the future.
I think we kind of need to not that we need to live in the past, but we definitely need to keep the past. We don't want to throw it all away.
Right, exactly.
And I think that's kind of where we're going. And once you get rid of it all, and then you have a generation of people that don't even know about it, they're going to be easily manipulated to repeat that.
But the hypocrisy is part of the problem for me. You got a guy like Bill Clinton. He was a dirtbag, and he brought a woman into the Oval Office and stuck cigars in places he probably shouldn't have. Committed adultery, did all that in the Oval Office. Yeah. And then the hypocrisy of it is all the Democrats go, "Oh, he's a great guy. That's okay. Hillary had fat ankles. Can you blame him?" I mean, they made excuse after excuse after excuse for this guy. Had it been a Republican, it would have been completely different.
Well, I don't know if it was political to that point.
You were just two. You don't know.
Well, I was young with Bill. I don't know a lot about Bill Clinton, but I think a lot of the political division has been amplified recently, and I think a lot of what happened. I think a lot of the time it's just where who's paying for what, really. They're not going to talk about a story that looks negative on somebody that's pushing what's making people money, and Bill was willing to go to war, so keep a war going, and that didn't change until Trump, really. Trump was the first one to be like, why are we doing all this? Right. I think when it's status quo, to just keep going to war, keep making money, keep increasing the funding for the military and doing all this, and they're making money, and what's the chance? Why stop a good thing,
Well, what was going on, too, is we're destroying these countries, and then the companies that were going in to build up the countries...
Build them back better.
We're all
did I just say that?
We're like Halliburton, BlackRock, Vanguard, all these people now that are buying up the houses here and land here, but they were going in and they were getting these big government contracts to go in and build these, build the countries back up. Kind of like with Haiti with the Clinton Foundation, where they got all that money to build it back up, donated to them, and they never did. But there's kind of the government war machine and stuff like that, like... that's the one thing that Trump definitely, went up against, was the whole military-industrial complex. And now we're actually in the pharmaceutical industrial complex right now, because that's who's running the country now. Like, the military's kind of stepped back. We're trying to get out of wars. But, you see how Russia and the Ukraine, they're trying to spark that back up. And it's a media thing, because Putin, again, said last week, dude, we can back off of this. We don't need this country. If we wanted to take it, we would take it.
Right.
But it's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Russia's the scary straw man guy that we have to protect the Ukraine that Joe's probably still getting millions of dollars from.
Well, yeah, I mean,
with all his back ass deals.
We couldn't keep the pipeline here, but go over in I guess it was Russia, wherever it was.
Well, yeah, they opened that back up.
Yeah, they're good to go. You know, it's.
Well, that was the whole thing with the part of the Aleppo thing with Syria was the Qatar pipeline that was going through, and it went through the back end of Syria, and that's what the guy, what was his name? Assad. That's what he was like, yo, you're not running that through my country. And they're like, you know, they were causing all this havoc at the back, you know, at the other end, and they were trying to run the pipeline through there, and that's where the ISIS people turned up, and he's gassing his own people, and he's like, no, I'm not. No, you are. And he's like, no, I'm really not. And that's what they, like, whatever happened to the little boy in Aleppo that was in the back of the van that Hillary said that Trump didn't know what he was even doing on foreign policy, and clearly he knew what he was doing. He had an agenda. Everybody's got in his pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about that. I think we just spent
I was
too
talking
much
about
time.
I was talking about the pipeline stuff. Like you were just, you know,
Yeah.
shut it down here, but we're going to open up and reestablish the ones that he shut down.
See,
Right.
you went off on a tangent.
Well, no, I was going off on that too. I think, but more broad than just the
Yeah, yeah.
pipeline. I think we are putting too much time and money into other countries, and we have plenty of problems here.
Yeah.
Focus on us first. You know, we have a lot to worry about here.
And that's one of the things that Trump was trying to do, and they didn't like that because somehow, some way, that money that we were funneling into
Well,
these
he was
other
costing
countries
them all money. That's
Yeah.
the problem.
there's a reason why some of these people are millionaires in Congress.
Well, yeah, I mean,
They're all millionaires.
all of them.
Wow.
Well, most of them.
I don't know if they all
a
are,
handful.
but
Well, I know
A select
Pelosi is.
Yep, Pelosi is.
I know Biden is.
I just think we focus too much on, and it goes all under the guise of trying to spread democracy.
Right.
In a lot of countries that kind of don't want it or
Yeah.
don't even care, right? We show up, we drop bombs, we go to war, and it's to promote democracy, but I don't think it really is. I think it's to get what we want at the end of the day, and it's probably oil, it's probably
Poppy.
minerals, it's probably
Poppy fields?
poppy. Yeah, I mean, seriously,
No.
it could be anything. I mean, who knows? I just don't think it's always to go promote a fair election system in another country that is ran by a caste system or ran by whatever the case is.
Well, I
think
can
it's
see
all-
you being suspicious of that.
Yeah.
And
it's right to be.
I am too. But I don't. The one thing the United States doesn't do is when we get involved in foreign wars, we don't conquer.
Well, no, we don't.
You know.
Well, I'm physically.
Well, we should. If we're doing all that, we should. I
Well-
mean, if we're going to go in, like with Iraq, if we're going to go in and take Saddam out, we should go in and take over the country and make it the United States of whatever and
Or-
run the oil.
Or we could take what we want.
But we don't do that.
I think they take what they want, and
Yeah,
I think they
I don't know
leave
about that.
a little.
It's possible.
We're
I'm not-
definitely taking oil out of those countries.
well, we're
def-
paying for it. It's not like we're might be getting a better deal. Probably,
It's the
but
nation.
You have to, but you know,
It's the nation building. That
I
we
wouldn't
need
have
to stop
thought
doing.
that, but now that it sparks a little thing in my mind that maybe, you know, we were energy independent. There was a lot of people who weren't making money all of a sudden, and now we shut down our pipeline and get oil from other countries. Okay, maybe you're right there. See, I'm open. I can
Yeah.
change.
And hey, I don't even know if I'm right.
But it's a really good point.
Everything I look at is who's paying who, and I think if you follow the money, you find a lot of answers.
Yeah, well, back in the day when I used to listen to talk radio, I was listening to this guy, old Jewish guy named Irv Homer.
Ah, good old Irv.
Yeah, and that was one of his lines. Follow the money trail.
Yeah, that's
Follow
the
the money.
It usually gets you what you're looking for, and I think it's present even still.
Yeah. So who in this country is making all that money off of buying oil from OPEC or overseas? You know, who is? And who's making money? You know.
Well, if you look at if you look at I think it's Ukraine with Burisma and all that stuff with Biden and Hunter Biden. He's on the board there, and they're paying Joe, and they're doing all this stuff, and then all the policies change to allow them to produce more.
Right.
We cut our supply. If we cut our supply, they increase theirs. They're going to make all the money that we missed out on. And if he's getting a cut of that, or any of them getting a cut of it, I mean, Hunter's on the board
Of course
there
they are.
because he's just a genius with oil.
He is smart
and
guy.
energy. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
He's the
it was-
smartest crackhead I ever seen.
It was natural gas, but
Natural gas. Okay,
Yeah.
fair. But still, point being, we cut ours to give to somebody else, and it's sort of why. We could do that. We have shale. We have we could produce natural gas here,
yeah.
but we just don't because.
Well, it's the same thing when he was like, "Oh, we're banning fracking on federal grounds." So
This is why we need
federal
Trump back.
land. So it's not even like
Well, they banned fireworks in South Dakota.
it wasn't banning fracking. It was just on federal any new fracking on federal property we were banning. So I don't think anybody was doing that anyway. It's the same thing like with his mask mandate when he first started it. Was like on federal, state and federal property was like, all right, well that's like what courthouses, you know what I mean? Like,
I think that kind of goes in. It's sort of always like, well, we'll just do it here, and
Yeah.
okay, we got away with that. Now we'll move it a little bit further. Oh, we got away with that, and a little bit further, and a little bit further, and I think that's kind of how you lose a lot is by baby steps, and you don't even kind of feel it or see it coming, and then it's like, well, here we are.
yeah,
Yep.
Now I can't go. Like in Philly, they just implemented a vaccine mandate. January 3rd, you can't go to a grocery store without it.
the grocery store. I thought it was just restaurants.
It might just be well. They mandated it for restaurant employees to be vaccinated.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure you can't go even like in a lot of these stores without being vaccinated.
So why do you think they want to put this? So they want people vaccinated so they can make the money there? Because I mean, the cities don't stand to make any money. What are they trying to put people out of business so they can come in and run everything? I mean,
well, how
you
would
get rid of those businesses. What do you think the city's going to look like?
I don't think they care. If you eliminate the middle class, if you eliminate small businesses, if you eliminate all of that, then what are you left with?
A McDonald's on every corner?
Right. And
Big box stores.
corporate socialism,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then you're able to implement all these mandates.
Well, listen, that's the best way to get to socialism is to start with corporate socialism.
Yeah,
and fund the government that way.
You get out of all the laws that are in place now. It's like, well, they're a private.
Well, look at
company. They
Amazon.
can implement what they want.
Look at Amazon. I mean, they're going to be. I mean, they're putting supermarkets up on every fucking corner already.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
they own Whole Foods now.
Yeah.
too, so,
The next thing is going to be. Well, they just put one up in Willow Grove.
Is that what that's going to be?
the
Yeah.
Instacart and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you cut out 200 jobs.
Yeah. There goes Giant.
Yeah.
I mean, there goes whatever else.
It's all
and
run
then-
by robots, and then you got people that can't find a job.
Yeah, we said that early last year
The
when they were
government's
shut.
going to step in and save you.
Because somebody was like, "Well, why are they shutting? What does small businesses have to do with?" Well, if you're canceling out the competition, so to speak.
We're going to have to conquer a new world.
Or-
Because this country's going to be shit.
I just think we need to divvy up the states. Maybe we need to go back to that.
No, I don't think that's.
Because if this is what we've been talking about, if this was such a weird, dangerous thing,
We're going to move
be,
to Costa Rica.
I guess. But you don't know what they're doing there. They might have.
We were just there. It was nice.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Yeah, see? I didn't do any sound effects, did I?
What?
Ah, man. There you go.
There's one.
So getting back real quick before we end this, since you've been here the whole time,
Yeah.
with your your group, and they say that at least they didn't it's kept them out of the hospital. Sorry. Is that really something that they believe? Like, did they actually like? Has anybody had any like heart problems, any adverse reactions, or they probably won't say anything if they did?
No, I wouldn't say. Yeah, I mean, none of them have been hit with anything heavy. They all felt sick after they did it, but that's sort of was
There you go.
Yeah.
intended, right? I mean, everybody kind of knew that going in. I'm not, I think the heart problems, I think all that it's minimal. Like, I don't think it affects a lot of people. But to just ignore that it exists is the problem. To be like, no, that's not real. That that's not happening. But go take your shot because I mean,
Are you crazy?
Even just the other day with the Johnson & Johnson, they just pulled that one. They're like, it's actually causing heart problems. It's like, well, if you've been paying attention, we knew that for a year.
It's very rare, though. They're still
It
saying
is, right? I mean,
They're still saying it.
on a grand scale, it is rare. But it's
Well, we only think it's rare because we've been told it's rare.
right. But you don't see 30-year-olds just, well, probably more now.
Yeah, but as a 30-year-old, you got a better chance of getting that than dying of COVID.
Exactly. And that should be a real a real discussion that's being weighed, and I think people should make that decision on their own. Do I think the threat of COVID is more damaging than the threat of vaccine side effects that you might not even know the long term of?
No.
To me, it's an easy decision. I'm not afraid of COVID. If I were to get it, I'm recently I've been trying to be more active, be more healthy, eat better, and do what I can on that side, and take vitamins and things like that. And I think that's my best safety going forward. I don't think getting jabbed and then going to McDonald's and just stuffing processed food down my throat and not moving around. I think that's the danger in it. I don't think it's, the vaccines are nothing I think I need. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
Very good.
All right. On that note, Orange Men got to roll.
All right,
Nick. Thanks
All right.
for stopping. It
Of course.
was a good show, man.
It
Appreciate
was.
you coming.
Look forward to the next one.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be on camera.
Hope to have you back.
Hey, thanks for listening.